For roughly 4% of the population, the number 7 is always blue. Not metaphorically. Not as an association they choose to make. When they see the numeral 7 written in any color, on any surface, their brain generates the genuine sensory experience of blue, automatically and involuntarily, every single time. Some people taste specific flavors when they hear certain words. Some see colored shapes float in space when they hear music. This is synesthesia, a neurological condition in which stimulation of one sense triggers an automatic, involuntary experience in a second, completely unrelated sense. It is not imagination. It is not a metaphor. It is a measurably real perceptual experience, and it reveals that the wiring separating our senses is far less fixed than it appears. Synesthesia comes in dozens of documented forms, but the most studied and most common is grapheme color synesthesia, the automatic and consistent experience of specific colors when viewing letters or numbers. A synesthete with this form does not consciously decide that the letter A is red, they simply perceive it as red, automatically, and have done so as far back as they can remember, typically since early childhood. Other forms include chromesthesia, in which sounds, particular musical notes, specific voices, or environmental noises trigger the perception of color or shape, lexical gustatory synesthesia, in which specific words trigger specific taste sensations, so that hearing the word jail might produce the taste of bacon, spatial sequence synesthesia, in which numbers or time units are perceived as occupying specific locations in physical space, and mirror touch synesthesia, in which observing another person being touched produces a genuine tactile sensation on the observer's own body. For over a century after its first scientific description in the 1880s, synesthesia was dismissed by much of the scientific community as a curiosity, a form of overly vivid metaphorical thinking, or in some cases an outright fabrication. This changed decisively in the 1990s and 2000s as rigorous behavioral and neuroimaging methods confirmed that synesthetic experiences meet the criteria for genuine perception rather than imagination or memory association. A key behavioral test, developed by researchers including Vilayanu Ramachandran, exploits the perceptual reality of synesthesia directly. Synesthetes can find a target letter embedded in a field of distractor letters significantly faster than non-synesthetes, because for the synesthete the target genuinely pops out as a different color, a perceptual advantage that would not exist if the color association were merely conceptual or memorized rather than perceived. Consistency testing provides further confirmation when synesthetes are asked, on separate occasions sometimes years apart, what color a given letter or number is for them. Their responses show striking long-term consistency, far higher than would be expected if the associations were arbitrary, invented, or constructed in the moment. Non-synesthetes asked to memorize and report arbitrary letter-color pairings show dramatically lower consistency over time. The synesthetic association behaves like a genuine, stable perceptual fact about the world, not a memorized list. The leading neuroscientific explanation for grapheme color synesthesia is the cross-activation theory, developed by Ramachandran and Edward Hubbard. In the fusiform gyrus, the same region of the temporal lobe responsible for facial recognition, discussed elsewhere, there exist adjacent regions specialized for processing letter and number shapes and for processing color. In most brains, these adjacent regions are functionally separate, communicating only at higher levels of processing. In the brains of grapheme color synesthetes, neuroimaging studies have found evidence of increased structural and functional connectivity between these adjacent regions, additional white matter connections, or insufficient pruning of connections that exist diffusely in infancy. Activation in the grapheme processing region directly and automatically triggers activation in the color processing region, producing the simultaneous perception of both shape and color from a stimulus that, viewed by a non-synesthete, contains only shape. This cross-activation framework has led to a broader and genuinely fascinating hypothesis about infant perception. Some researchers, including Daphne Maurer, have proposed that infants may experience a diffuse, non-specific form of synesthesia as a normal feature of early brain development, when cortical connections between sensory regions have not yet been pruned into the more specialized, separated systems characteristic of the adult brain. In this view, synesthesia in adults may represent not an anomaly added to typical brain wiring but rather the retention of an ancestral, developmentally earlier connectivity pattern that most brains lose through the normal pruning process of childhood, and that synesthetes simply retain. Synesthesia shows strong heritability, it runs in families, and twin studies suggest a substantial genetic component, though no single gene has been identified, and the condition likely involves the combined effect of multiple genetic variants affecting neural connectivity and pruning. It also shows a notable, well-replicated association with creative professions. Studies have found synesthesia to be several times more common among visual artists, musicians, and writers than in the general population, a finding consistent with the idea that additional cross-sensory connectivity might facilitate the kind of novel, cross-domain association that underlies much creative work. What synesthesia ultimately reveals is not simply the existence of a rare and curious minority of differently wired brains. It reveals that the boundaries between the senses, which feel so absolute and immutable in ordinary experience, are a product of specific developmental and connective patterns in the brain, patterns that could, in principle, have been different, and in a meaningful minority of brains, are.